Okay, some huge news is coming out of the US Carrom world, and if you're a player or a fan, you're going to want to hear this. The US Carrom Association has totally overhauled the way players get ranked. So in this explainer, we're going to dive in and decode what this massive change means for everybody, from the top pros all the way to the up-and-comers. So the big question right off the bat is why? I mean, the system has been in place for decades. Why tear up the rulebook now? Well, the reason is actually a really, really good sign for the sport.
That's it right there. This change isn't about fixing something that was totally broken. It's about upgrading the system to handle the fact that Carm is exploding across the country. We've got more players, more clubs, more passion than ever before. And the old way of doing things, well, it just couldn't keep up. To really get why this new system is such a game changer, we gotta look back at the problems with the old one. Look, it served its purpose when the community was smaller, but as the sport started to take off, you could really see the cracks starting to show. Think about this for a second. Under the old system, your entire national ranking was based on just two tournaments a year, the US Nationals and the US Open. That's it, just two. And that created this incredibly high-pressure situation with some pretty serious downsides.
Yeah, this boiled down to three major issues. First, the penalty for missing just one of those events was brutal. You get sick, you have a family commitment, tough luck. Your ranking could absolutely tank. Second, the USCA needs up-to-date rankings more often now for international competitions. And third, and this is the big one, with so many new people getting into the game, just two tournaments a year wasn't nearly enough to keep the grassroots movement growing.
So that brings us to the new amendment. This is the solution that's designed to fix all of those problems and really set the stage for the future of Carrom here in the US.
And the big idea is actually pretty simple, but it's incredibly powerful. They're empowering all the USCATA-affiliated clubs around the country to host their own tournaments that actually count towards the national ranking. It's a total game changer, spreading out the opportunities all over the map and all throughout the year.
Now, of course, it's not a complete free-for-all. You can't just set up a board in your garage and call it a ranking event. The USCCA has put together a really solid rulebook to make sure these new tournaments are high quality, fair, and consistent. So let's take a look at what it takes for a club to get their tournament on the official ranking calendar. Okay, so there are some serious guardrails here to maintain quality. First, it has to be run by an official USCA-affiliated club. No exceptions. Second, it has to follow the code of conduct, and they are very serious about the no alcohol rule. Third, it has to have a dedicated singles event. And finally, you've got to use the official USCA software. This is all about making sure every ranking tournament feels professional and legitimate. And it's not just about the club's responsibilities. There are also some strict rules about the players who show up. You need a minimum of 32 players total. And this next one is key. You need at least a quarter, so 10 players from the nation's top 40. That ensures a level of competition is high. Plus, you have to announce it 2 months ahead of time, and it's got to be open to all U.S. residents, so everyone has a fair shot. And this is a really clever piece of quality control. A club can say their tournament is ranking eligible when they announce it, but the final decision on whether the points actually count is made after the tournament is over. So if a club doesn't follow all the rules, the USCA can just say, nope, no points. It's a great way to keep everybody honest. Okay, so that's the club side of things. Now let's switch gears and talk about what matters most to the players. How is your national ranking actually calculated now? The math has definitely changed. And trust me, it's for the better. Think of your ranking now as being built from 3 different pools of points, and they're all weighted equally. Pool number 1 is the US Nationals, which is worth a maximum of 1,200 points. Pool number 2 is the US Open, also worth up to 1,200 points. And the third pool, the new one, is your best results from all those new chapter tournaments combined, also capped at 1,200 points.
Now, listen up, because this is probably the most important part of the new system for players. Your final ranking is not the total of all 3 pools. It's calculated from your best 2 scores out of those 3. This is huge. It's a safety net. So if you have a bad tournament or you have to miss the US Open for a family wedding, it's not the end of the world anymore. You can make up for it in the other categories. It gives players so much more flexibility.
So, with this new best 2 of 3 system, we get a new magic number, 2,400. That is the new maximum, the new ceiling, the top of the mountain. It sets a clear benchmark for what it takes to be the undisputed #1 player in the country. But wait a minute. That brings up a pretty logical question, right? If you can get 1,200 points from all these chapter events, does winning a small local tournament count the same as winning a huge one stacked with all the top players? Well, the answer is a definite no. So the USCACA came up with this really smart system they call a strength of field modifier. As you can see from this table, the max points you can get from any single chapter tournament is 240, but you only get that full amount if at least 5 of the nation's top 10 players are there. If the field is a little weaker, say you have 5 players from the top 20, the points get multiplied by 0.8, so the max you can get is 192. It's a brilliant way to incentivize the best players to travel and compete against each other, which raises the bar for everyone. Okay, one last crucial detail here that defines who can actually compete. Starting in 2027, these ranking tournaments will be for U.S. residents only, and the USCA has a specific definition for that: someone who's lived in the U.S. for at least 2 years on a qualifying visa or has a green card. This is a really important clarification that's going to shape who's competing for those top spots in the years ahead. All right, so we've gone through the rules, the math, the whole shebang. Let's zoom out and look at the big picture. What does all of this really mean for the future of the sport? And more importantly, what does it mean for you? So what's the bottom line here? For the average player, it means way more chances to compete for points all year long. It means less pressure. Missing one big tournament isn't a disaster. It means you're going to see top players showing up at more local events, which is going to make everyone better. And really, most importantly, it creates this continuous, year-round path for anyone who wants to climb the ladder and improve their game. You know, this quote from the USCA's official document just says it all. The whole point is to enable growth of opportunities for player ranking, which leads to continuous betterment. It's a vision that's all about growth and helping every single player get better. And that leaves us with this final, really exciting question. The competitive map has just been redrawn. There are more paths to the top than ever before. The established players are going to be challenged, and new champions are absolutely going to get their chance to shine. The next chapter of US Carrom starts right now, and it is truly anyone's game.